All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to take something we all build, a basic list screen in a React Native app, and we're going to totally transform it. We're talking about making it feel super fast, super modern, and just completely professional. Let's get right to it.
You've totally felt this, right? You open one app and boom, the content is just there, instantly. Then you open another one and you're just stuck, staring at that dreaded loading spinner. That difference, that feeling of speed versus a frustrating wait, that's exactly what we're going to solve today.
This right here, this is the user experience killer. A blank screen with a spinning wheel is just a terrible first impression. It basically screams at your user, hey, get ready to wait. We can do so much better. And I'm going to show you that it's actually not that complicated.
So, our first solution, our first secret weapon is something called local caching. This is the magic trick that creates that instant-on feeling. It's all about making your app feel incredibly responsive from the very first second a user opens it.
So what exactly is local caching? Well, in the world of React Native, it just means we use a tool, something like async storage, to save the data we get from the internet directly onto the user's phone. That way, the next time they open the app, it doesn't have to wait for the network. It already has a copy of the data ready to go.
I absolutely love this analogy because it's just perfect. The user gets to see the leftovers, that's our cached data, the second they open the app, so they're engaged right away. Meanwhile, in the background, we're quietly ordering a fresh meal by fetching the latest, greatest data from the server.
And this flow is really the key to that instant feeling. So picture this, the app opens, and the very first thing we do is check for that saved data. If we find some, we show it on the screen immediately. No waiting, no spinners. Then, only after the user is already looking at the content, we quietly reach out to the network for an update. When the new data comes back, we seamlessly refresh the screen and, of course, save that new data for the next time. It's this beautiful cycle that puts the user's experience first.
And you know, the best part is how simple the code can be. The single line right here, using async storage.getItem, is literally the command that says, hey, go look in the phone storage and see if you can find anything I saved under the name posts_cache. This is step one, right? Checking the fridge for leftovers.
And here's the other side of that coin. After we go out and fetch fresh data from our API, async storage.setItem is how we put the new leftovers in the fridge for next time. We're just taking that new data, turning it into a string, and storing it locally. This makes sure our cache is always as fresh as possible for the next launch. Okay, so caching is amazing for that initial launch. It's a game changer. But what if the user is already inside the app and they want the absolute latest information, like right now? Well, we have to give them that control, and we can do it with a simple gesture that everybody already knows and expects. You know what I'm talking about. Pull to refresh. It's that super intuitive downward swipe that has become completely standard in pretty much every mobile app out there. Honestly, if your app doesn't have it, it can feel a little bit old or maybe even broken. It's a must-have for a modern mobile experience. Let's quickly peek under the hood at what's happening here. The user pulls down, and that gesture triggers a state change. We just flip a variable, we'll call it refreshing, to true. And in React, that state change automatically tells the UI, hey, show the loading spinner. While that's spinning, we go fetch our new data. As soon as it arrives, we set refreshing back to false, and poof, the spinner vanishes and the list updates with all the fresh content. It's a classic example of state driving the UI.
And get this, the implementation in React Native's flat list is just so wonderfully clean. We literally just add this one prop, refresh control. We connect it to our refreshing state variable, so it knows when to spin, and we tell it which function to run, our onRefresh function, when the user actually does the poll. It's that simple, that direct.
Okay, so we've got instant caching for the first load, and we've got manual refresh for on-demand updates. What's the real payoff? Well, when you combine these two features, it's not just a small improvement, it's a complete night and day transformation of the user experience.
I mean, just look at this comparison. We go from a boring, blank screen to content that loads instantly. We go from making the user wait on the network to updating silently in the background. We go from a static, kind of dead list to a dynamic one that the user can control themselves. To put it simply, we go from an app that feels kind of basic to one that feels truly modern and totally polished.
And that's really the bottom line, isn't it? With just these two pretty simple changes, you fundamentally leveled up the quality of your application. This is the kind of stuff that separates a hobby project from something that feels like it's ready for the App Store. All right, let's wrap this up with a quick recap of the powerful new skills you've just added to your developer toolbox. These are techniques you can and should start using in your own projects, like today. So you now have the core skills to tackle one of the biggest problems in mobile UX, which is that feeling of performance. You can now use caching to completely kill that initial loading screen, and you can implement pull to refresh to give users the control they expect. Put them together and you can build lists that feel incredibly fast and professional. And let's be really clear about something. These aren't just nice-to-have features or little tricks. This is standard practice. Like the slide says, this is how real-world, production-ready React Native apps are built. These are foundational skills for creating high-quality apps that people will genuinely love to use. And really, that's what this is all about, taking these skills and actually applying them. You now have the tools to build a fantastic user experience from the very start. So the only question left is, what are you going to build? Go make something that feels amazing. Thanks so much for tuning in.